Everybody. I'm Ginshi. And yes, that's Ginshi. So, I'm so happy that all of you are here, and I'm really happy that I've got all these friends and potential friends and traveling companions and just people who showed up to be nice and to introduce to hear my introduction to myself. So, anyway, I am going to start off by introducing myself. Okay, I'm not getting any reactions. I think you guys are more than 30 feet away. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to have to use my voice. That's okay. I can do that. All right. So, um, I am a ghostwise halfling, and I'm sure the first thought that you're going to have is that's fascinating. Those are very rare. Tell us about where you grew up. Tell us about your parents. Tell us about your childhood friends, your hobbies. Honestly, how old are you? And I can definitively tell you that I don't know the answer to a single one of those questions. You see, I went to the fairylands. And when I got there, I didn't know I was in the fairylands yet, but somebody came up to me and said, "Hey there, let me have your name." And not understanding what was being asked, I did. And there went all those memories. Well, that's ghastly, you might say, but I'm sure you have some great stories about the fairylands. No, not really. Because while you're in the fairylands, everything is so real, more real than real. All things have a purpose, all things have a meaning. Words have power, unlike anything you've seen. But when you leave the fairylands, when you come back here, all of that vanishes like a dream. And you're just left with snippets that you knew you had a very intense dream, but you don't remember much of the details, and they don't make sense in this world anyway. All right, so this isn't a very good introduction. I can't tell you about where I'm from or who I am. I can't tell you about my time in the fairylands. What can I do? Well, I can tell you a few things I do know about myself. First of all, I'm a wizard, and I always have been as far as I know. The way I know this is because when some people come back from the Silver Lands, they have magic. Well, some of them have made a deal with some Fey Lord, and that Fey Lord has given them power in exchange for some contrived contract that can never be fulfilled, and they're bound forever. And that's what they're called warlocks. And that's not me, because I came back from those lands debt free. Well, the other thing is that some people get lucky and they take a drink from the right stream or they eat the right dessert and they have power infusing their body and they come out and they can just wield it, call upon it at need. That's not me. I have to study and read this book and consider what I'm going to do each day and memorize. It's tiring, but I enjoy it. So I'm a wizard. I'm always a wizard as far as I can tell. The other thing I can share is three things that I brought back with me from the fairylands. The first is that I have a familiar. My familiar is a will-o-wisp, but it's also a crow. See, if you take, and it's easier to show you. All right. So this is Lux. And as you can see, Lux has wings and a tail, and it lets me see in the dark, and it can fly. And it also can speak crow, although I don't really know the value of that because when I say what did they say, he says, they were laughing at you. Well, I knew that anyway. What value did he just provide? But anyway, that's Lux. The other thing I got was a fairy servant, and his name is Sundew. Now, Sundew, I do know this story. I was invited by a Fey Lord to be the guest of honor to dinner. I don't know why. That's not part of my story. But I told him I didn't think I could accept because I didn't have any clothes that were good enough for his event. And he was horrified that this had happened, that he had invited me and now had put me on the spot. And he insisted, under the rules of hospitality, that he provide me with clothes. And he did. He gave me a very nice suit of clothes and a servant to help me get into them. Well, somehow in the translation of going from there to here, I got to keep the servant. So I can call him up and he'll show up and we'll hang out for a while. It's really fun. The one odd dynamic in our relationship is that he's died 6 times since I met him. So the first time I was traveling and I got jumped by people. It was terrifying and I called on him. And I'll tell you that when Sundu is mad, he is not someone you want to be around. Between my magical abilities and Sundu's very effective sword, we drove them off. But he suffered a mortal wound. And he died. And I was so hurt. What I didn't understand was that apparently Sundu was back in the fairy lands, laughing his butt off, explaining that he had suffered a mortal wound in the defense of his master and was getting lots and lots of drinks out of it and was having a great time. And so after that, we didn't worry about him dying because apparently it doesn't take from there to here. So I will say that, he did die one time because of this bet. Never mind. He got half. Let's leave it at that. The third thing that I came back with, and this is the most interesting, was a legacy, a bloodline. You see, when I was leaving, and I knew it was time to leave because the path was open and I had no debts, but I was still owed. And on the way out, I met the man who had taken my name. And I said to him, you took that without giving me something of equivalent value. You have to give it back or give me something else. He said, well, I don't have your name anymore, but I can make you a Dwibbimble. Do I look like a Dwibbimble? Absolutely not. That's a terrible name. So we negotiated back and forth. I wanted some of his better names. He wanted to give me some of the worst names. And we finally agreed that there would be a game, a single hand of cards. And if I won, I would get the name of my choice. If I lost, I would have to head back. Well, you know the rule that you never draw to an inside straight? I didn't know this rule either, but apparently halfling luck actually means something, and I got the card I wanted. And so I took a golden name. And with this came a bloodline from a dragon. Pulau is now my ancestral father. Was this destined in the way of fairy, or really good luck in the voice of this realm? Well, I don't know. But I can tell you that I can summon the power of Pulau and shrink to 18 inches, half my height. People don't notice me anyway. Can you imagine me bouncing around the field, jumping from point to point, casting spells, and no one has any idea what's going on? It's a lot of fun. But I will use this power responsibly. I look forward to using it with each of you who go on this journey with me. And I hope that I can turn more of you from potential friends into friends. Back to you, Mr. Tall Person with an authoritative voice. I'm obviously not going to use your name.